Good afternoon, everybody. Um, my name's Kevin. I am at home here with my cats and dogs, and just some thoughts. Was wondering if I'd get some responses. Probably not, which is okay. But just general things, news. Um, Little about myself. I've been in food service all my life, over 40 years. Never really been one that was so much caught up in the news or news cycles like anybody else. When anything dramatic has happened, things like the Challenger incident back in the 80s, obviously 9/11, which I certainly got a lot of opinions about that. I know most of you probably do too. And anything up into recent times. I mean, going back to before I was born, the JFK assassination. Um, Again, news, daily news has been of very little interest to me. Um, Probably until the last, gosh, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, I guess. Uh, I find myself watching news cycles, whether it's on YouTube channels or just local TV, whether it's because of generally and usually it's something that's violence related, and it's usually around guns. Um, and I just can't seem to wrap my head around the amount of vitriol that people have for each other. And I say that because, of course, all we hear anymore is Republican, Democrat, this, that, or the other. And I've never considered myself a Republican or a Democrat, even though the few times I have voted in my life, I have voted Democrat. And I have some regrets about it, and I feel, somewhat good about the votes that I've made too. But I think you could probably argue that either way. And that being said, I know very little about what being a Democrat is or what being a Republican is. I only know based on what I've seen that Democrats tend to be, or it would seem, much less extreme and in many cases much more realistic. And also, with that said, they tend to probably procrastinate a bit more. And maybe, I mean, again, there's positives and negatives with either side of the party, but I think the Republican Party is just certainly too much for my taste. But that being said, I'm kind of curious as to what you guys think. The thing that I can't help seeing and having being riveted to news so much these days, look, every single day, literally every single day in the United States, there is mass shootings. Mass shootings are considered, something that involves injury or death of four or more people. And it's amazing to think that this literally goes on every day, and most of these are not even reported at this point. And worldwide, we lead the world, by a magnitude of more than 10 to 1, I think, if you put countries together. And even if that's not, 100% true, the fact that the distance between mass shootings in the United States and other countries are just so vastly different. And the one thing that sticks out all along is just guns. But this seems to be such a politically driven thing, and people's rights to have guns, that for whatever reason, not only do we not want to solve it, we can't seem to solve it, which just blows my mind. That our country's politicians clearly, quite clearly, because it's been going on for years, seem to be okay with school kids getting blown away in their schools. Parents have to worry about kids getting shot up in schools. I know personally, growing up in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s, throughout the 70s, this was never a concern. I vaguely recall the concerns of the Cold War and all that, and the possibility that there could very well be some kind of nuclear strike from Russia. But this was something that was very distant. Um, Getting killed by guns in schools is something now very close to home that little kids see and witness if they watch the news with their parents. And their parents have to talk to them about it every day and what to do. And we're talking about arming teachers, and we're making all kinds of excuses about doors, rooftops, ladders, anything and everything to avoid what is the point of the problem, and it's the actual guns themselves. Um, and generally, usually, it is a kid that's involved in this. And when I say kid, it's somebody between the ages of mid to late teen years to 20 somethings. That this is, that are doing these things. And in some cases, maybe there's mental problems involved, which it's another thing the United States is very poor when it comes to managing. With all the money that the U.S. has, our mental health system is absolutely awful. But we don't seem to want to deal with any of this. It's always thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. And it's the same old stories spewed time and again. We feel so sorry for the families and the parents and the kids and on and on and on and on, but it's just a bunch of BS. I can't see how you can look at it as anything else but that. It's just BS. We're doing nothing about it. We have all the ability in the world to take positive steps. It's never going to be 100% fixed. These things do happen in other countries, but so much more rare than here in the United States. We can do something about this. Heck, just taking the simple steps of doing what we do with cars. You got to get licensed. You got to get tested. You've got to re-up your license. You have to have registrations. You have to have insurance. Just basic steps that make it so you have to sign in. In the event that this kind of thing happens, tracking these things down can be much simpler, and there is just that much little bit more of a barrier for people doing this stuff, and there's just basic accountability. I'm not even talking about taking guns away, especially not from people that have proven that they are responsible gun owners. Which that seems to be the other thing that's always brought up. God forbid we talk about regulation of any kind, people start screaming, "Oh my God, they're going to take my guns away." Of course not. Just some basic, simple accountability that we do for so many other things that are so much less deadly than guns. Let's face it, guns were designed for one thing: killing. Yes, it takes a person to do it.